Over to you, Paresh, sir.
Good evening and welcome everyone to another episode of Conversation with CASI Global. We have with us Malika Saripova, the founder and director of CSR Limited. She is from Uzbekistan, and I welcome everybody. I welcome you, Malika. Thank you very much for being with us today. It is a pleasure to host you at the CASI forum. As discussed before, this will be a recording of your speech, which the viewers can read, discuss, and then ask you questions at the round table, which will happen on the 18th of this month. So with that, let's begin. Tell me what it's like in Uzbekistan. What is the CSR, the corporate social responsibility, and sustainability like in Uzbekistan? Please.
Yeah. Hi, Paresh. Good evening. First of all, thank you for inviting me to this conference and the opportunity to share my insights on CSR, on what is happening in terms of CSR in Uzbekistan. Well, unfortunately, CSR is a new concept and new term in Uzbekistan, and it still has to develop. And what I'm trying to do in last 5 years is to research on what's going on CSR and how businesses understand the responsibility and accountability. And there is so much work to do, and I hope in coming years there will be big interest in CSR, and businesses will be engaged in implementing CSR practices and concepts in their operations.
So tell me, I have a few more questions on CSR before we go on to your presentation or speech. Mm-hmm. But before that, I want to ask you, what made you select CSR as a field of action? How did you end up in the field of CSR and sustainability, mm-hmm. personally?
Personally, once I used to work with a small environmental project in UNDP in Uzbekistan. And that's how I was into the environmental, I saw the problems within the environmental management in Uzbekistan and the disasters that we have within the country. And that's how I was involved in a more environmental side of the responsibility. But then when I was looking for the courses in Europe, I saw that there is really interesting field which is called corporate social responsibility, which covers, a very wide focuses. Like, there is a 3 Ps, right? Basic 3 Ps, which is people, planet, and profit. So it was really interesting for me. And then I chose that course. Of course, I studied in England in Aston University. I got the same, let's say, major, social responsibility and sustainability. And while being in there and while getting my education, I was really, immersed in the, let's say, all these environment, CSR and business accountability things. We had so many meetings with the great businesses who are doing this, who are really good at this. And I was involved in the Thrive project as well, which is, which held the conferences every month. And, the big businesses, big organizations who are really doing really good projects on CSR, they shared their experiences. And I said, well, seeing all that, what is happening in the world and comparing it with the situation in Uzbekistan, I said, well, this is the field that we have to develop in Uzbekistan as well. And that's why I, decided to come back and develop this field in Uzbekistan.
It is very interesting that you selected this given your circumstances and experience. I'll tell you why. Uzbekistan is a young country in terms of independence. Yeah, a very young country. And Uzbekistan also has the 5th, 6th, 7th largest reserve for gold, uranium, and natural resources, oil. Yeah. So given that, given that when you're growing up, in a country which is young in terms of independence, yeah, very young,
Mhm.
and you have the fifth, sixth, and the seventh largest reserves of gold, oil, and uranium,
Mhm.
it would be easier to go on the other side and start selling natural resources instead of saving natural resources. You see, so
Yeah.
yeah, so when I'm growing up and I'm a college grad, and there are a lot of natural resources, it's a young economy. The policies would not be perfect, you know. So in any growing country or young country, it is observed that because the policies are not framed very tight, it becomes very easy to exploit the natural resources and make a lot of money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, you know, but given the same set of circumstances, it is very normal for a person to go this way and start selling natural resources.
Mhm.
And here we have Malika trying to save natural resources where they have the sixth largest reserves of oil. That is amazing. That is amazing. Kudos to you. It is very difficult to make the right choice when there is a lot of money on the left. Uh,
And
it,
I would also add that we're one of the biggest producers of cotton as well.
yeah, correct, correct, correct. I understand that.
Yeah, which is
But
another very big challenge, you know, in terms of environmental harm and the damage.
yeah,
Yeah,
and you made the right choice. So you know you start
hopefully.
to oh, absolutely, absolutely. So
Yeah,
it is always one man, one woman who starts a movement,
yeah,
and then it becomes a national and a global movement. But there has to be somebody who makes a first.
pioneer,
Let's
right?
do that.
Right.
And that we definitely see you doing that in Uzbekistan.
Mhm.
Had I been in your circumstances, I would be selling oil. Probably, you never know. But you know, I'm very happy to be associated with you. I'm happy that you are associated with CASI.
Thank
I
you.
look to a long term. We have had a lot of discussions before. So I'll
Mhm.
be asking you a few elementary questions, the answers to which I am aware of. But I want our viewers to know more about you. So,
Mhm.
you know, I want to
Okay.
ask two or three more questions before we go on to your speech. Is that okay?
Right. Yeah, yeah, that's fine, of course.
So you were also at some point working with the government
Yes.
for the embassy, yeah?
Yeah, I worked in the embassy like 4 or 5 years back in 2008 and 2013, if I'm not, yeah, yeah.
Correct. And you were
I,
stationed in Pakistan.
yes, the embassy was in Pakistan, right?
Oh, very nice. So, what was the core for a young country to be working in an embassy? What was the job? How did you like it? How did you manage it at such a young age?
Actually, when I worked in the embassy, I was involved. I was the assistant for the consul
Hmm.
with the consular matters. Advising people, advising what kind of documents they need. And I was also translator for for the embassy. I participated in high meetings, even with the ambassador himself as well. And I represented Uzbekistan in conferences, in meetings. It was really interesting job for me. I surely can say that I gained really good experience. First of all, in communication, because I had to meet so many people on a daily basis, and I had to manage the local personnel as well. And I really worked up my communication skills and presentation skills in there.
Hmm.
And I was really immersed in the culture as well, in the culture of the country. And as I already said to you, I fell in love with the cuisine, and I really like it.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to come to India. Uh,
Right,
we will arrange for a lot of curry. The
right.
Indian food.
It's on my wish list to go to India and visit so many beautiful places. Like Taj Mahal or any other historical places. Uh,
Right.
yeah.
Absolutely. So, coming back to CSR,
Mhm.
see, in India, there is a rule, there is a
Mhm.
government dictate that every company above a certain grade
Right.
has to donate 2% of their profits onto
Yeah, something like that.
specified activities.
Right.
So do you does I mean, does Uzbekistan have any such rule, or what? How does it work there?
No, we don't have any legislation related to corporate social responsibility or the accountability, let's say, and that is, well, that I can call it fortunate or I cannot call it fortunate or unfortunate, because, you know, in some cases it works, the legislation. In some cases, like in the majority of developing countries cases, maybe it doesn't work. Because as says in many researches, like in Bangladesh and in India as well, they said that the legislation could lead to the corruption.
Correct.
So you have to be really, really careful with the legislation. If you are going to work out, like if Uzbekistan is going to work out the legislation, which on the one hand would be really good, because in current stage, you know, businesses are, well, let's say, not that interested in engaging CSR, in producing non-financial reports, right? Because it is a part of CSR, as you know.
Correct.
You have to produce non-financial reports every year, and not many businesses are interested in that. So in this case, maybe, you know, it would be good if government initiates, you know, this kind of activities, and maybe has a legislation as well as in India. If I'm not wrong, India is the only country in the world that has legislation related to
Correct.
CSR. Yeah, and some say it works, some say it doesn't work. So you never know, you know. So that's why I'm saying, maybe, in my opinion, maybe if it's not the legislation, then we can have the regulations, you know.
Hmm.
And it would be really good if we had, you know, governmental guidelines for the businesses, governmental, let's say, incentives as well, because as I said, in current stage, it would be really good to have governmental incentives to attract businesses to, you know, to engage with CSR. This will be a really good step. And hopefully, yeah, well, I'm trying to work out this thing with the authorities, with officials, and hopefully I will be able to do some, you know, improvements
Oh
in
yes,
this
yes,
direction.
absolutely, absolutely, and you know, we will definitely we are looking forward, as I said earlier, you know, to working with you on these projects.
Mm.
So tell me, what are your areas of CSR consulting?
Currently, I'm more in, I'm working with more textile businesses, because they are the ones who want to sell, who want to export their goods to Europe or to America,
Mhm.
to USA. And as you know, without the proper, you know, responsibility in the supply chain, well, no company would buy anything, right, from those companies. That's why for now, they're the ones who are more interested in developing CSR strategies, in developing or acquiring the certain social environmental certification and audits, like, you know, as well. It's like, SA 8000 or BSCI. Also, it can be the SMETA.
Mhm.
OITEX is really, really famous in Uzbekistan. And we have really few companies who got these certifications. And yeah, and what I'm trying to do is, you know, to help businesses to get there, to acquire those certifications, to be able to prove themselves as a responsible suppliers in Uzbekistan.
Okay. So, two more questions before
Mm-hmm.
you know, we start on our speech.
Right.
You are probably aware that CASI is the world's largest CSR company. We are present across 52 countries.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of we encourage a lot of volunteering. So we are the world's largest volunteering platform.
Mm-hmm.
We have over 1 million students. We have over 3 million volunteering students. So it's a very large volunteering force that I am running. I have 3 million children who do volunteering on our platform.
Mm-hmm.
So both these questions are coming from our background. One is, do you have CSR education or sustainability education as a part of the curriculum?
Mm-hmm.
And question two is, does the government or the corporate support volunteering? Any
Mm-hmm.
kind of volunteering activities. So,
Mm-hmm.
what is your take?
Yeah, I got you. Unfortunately, so far, none of the universities, none of the schools have courses related to CSR, or sustainability. Yeah, there are courses which include one or two lessons related to CSR. For example, like one or two lectures within some kind of other module, but there is no separate module which is which would teach students, especially business students, on the about the basis of corporate social responsibility.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, when I worked at the Westminster University, which is situated in Tashkent, well, several times I proposed, the separate course on corporate social responsibility, but I got rejected, and that was really unfortunate. But hopefully, of course, I will try my best to get the same course in other
Absolutely.
universities,
As I
because
said, we are looking at Uzbekistan as a part of CASI, so we would definitely want
yeah,
to create a
yeah.
presence there. And we have
But
a
the
whole
next,
range of products, all right, from
but next,
college to engineering to a CEO level program. So it's an
right.
entire range of program from New York, and we
Mm,
are working on it. We'll take it offline again. So
mhm, mhm.
tell me about volunteering. What is the belief?
Uh, Governments, yeah, of course, it supports volunteering because that's a good thing for the youth as well, to be engaged in the societal projects, or in be it environmental projects, any other projects. It will help, first of all, to develop certain skills for the youth, and to gain some experience. So government always encourages and supports volunteering, be it in the universities or in organizations as well. If someone says, yeah, I want to volunteer, it's a great advantage. In that cases, yeah, government supports. And back to the course, actually, like national universities, they were interested in developing CSR courses.
Okay.
So that's a good news, yeah.
Absolutely. So that is it from now. For now, from my side, I will hand over to you now for your speech on CSR for our audiences.
Mm-hmm.
And on the 18th, we'll see you again, for the round table. Uh,
Right.
and really, the topic is CSR and sustainability. It is a very broad angle, broad
Yeah.
canvas. And what's
Ex-
your angle? So, we are happy to look at all the angles today. So,
right, right.
over to you, Malika. Please tell us your take on CSR.
You want me to start my presentation, or you're asking my
No, no,
angle
please.
of
Absolutely. You can start your presentation.
my presentation? Okay. Well, I would like to start my presentation with two questions. um, and those are, why should companies or organizations care about CSR and develop, relevant strategies for their entities? And the second one is, why it is important to engage in CSR when you're already doing well and gaining profit, right? But this would be a rhetorical question when you look at for the companies in the West. When you ask this question from the companies in the West, well, it's understood, right? Why they are engaged. But unfortunately, not for those companies operating within Central Asia, well, including Uzbekistan as well. If we look at the motivational factors, why companies in the West adhere to CSR practices, we can see that the one main purpose is to meet the rising demands of stakeholders. Stakeholders are really strong in the West. And the second thing is because of companies, they try to gain the social legitimacy, so-called social legitimacy within the society that they're operating in. But situation is a bit, let's say, different when it comes to Uzbekistan. And we can see that there is a need for strong justification for businesses to engage in CSR activities. Because Uzbekistan is another emerging economy where CSR and responsible business conduct are new concepts that are yet to be explored and developed both by the government and by the businesses. And but however, although the CSR is a new concept or a new term in Uzbekistan, some elements of it, like principles, we can say, they are have long been practiced within the society. They have been practiced in the forms of cultural values, in the forms of religious duty, or even superstitions, right? For instance, Uzbek people believe that dirt or garbage should not be swept to the water, or the nails should not be thrown into the water because it can bring bad luck. But under this superstition, we can see that the real reason is, to protect the environment.
Correct.
Or if we look at the religious duty, right? Like majority of people, I can say, they give 1/5 of their all profits to the needy, and it's totally voluntary. Nobody makes them to give, certain amount of their profits to the needy people. And these things we can call kind of, a type of social responsibilities. As I said, I've been researching on how CSR is understood and practiced in Uzbekistan for 5 years, and I could tell that businesses in Uzbekistan, they have certain elements of corporate social responsibility, like they all care about their employees. They provide them with certain social packages, like if they want, like employees, if they want to get an education, majority of businesses, they would like to assist them financially. And then of course, they abide to the rules which are set by the government. And as I said, the philanthropy is really strong among businesses. All businesses, I think majority, let's say majority, not the all, majority of businesses, they are involved in charities. They give out charities, they help financially to the elderly houses, to the orphanages and other social institutions. And what is interesting about Uzbekistan is, all these activities, all these charities, they are not monetized because they are not advertised as in the West. In the West, we can see that some companies use CSR activities, or let's say charities, to promote their positive image, right, or to advertise themselves. But when you look at the Uzbek businesses, they do the charities, they help people, but they don't advertise it. It's if you like read many articles, like Western articles, they say the cause of the CSR should be a bit different. It should be feeling the responsibility within. So in this term, Uzbekistan is let's say already practicing that side of CSR. However, unfortunately, in Uzbekistan, financial and social responsibilities, they override the environmental responsibilities. This is very unfortunate because there is very weak accountability of businesses, to adhere or to do some activities to not to harm the environment, right? And there is some tax which is imposed by the government. There is environmental tax, but it's really, really small. And of course, it doesn't cover the, the harm done by the same businesses. And interestingly, not all businesses know that they have environmental responsibilities. And even, some businesses even think that they are not causing any harm to the environment. And unfortunately, the environmental harm is never assessed or audited, and never measured. And it relates to not only to, you know, local businesses, but to foreign businesses as well. And I recently done a research, CSR research, which was funded by GIZ in Uzbekistan. And I found out that, you know, the when investors come to Uzbekistan, for the authorities, especially, you know, when they want to go to remote regions and invest in something in there, in business, it's more important, for now, unfortunately, it's more important how much money they invest, but it's not important, or it's not measured how much harm they're causing to the environment. This was really unfortunate because, you know, absence of the effective legislation that would impose sustainable and responsible practices within Uzbekistan, it could lead, we know it well, to the environmental damage, right? We already have an example, a bad example in the face of Aral Sea. I think the problem of Aral Sea is very well known across the world. It was once fourth biggest sea in the world, but now, because of the irresponsible practices in cotton production, in 60 and 70 years, it just dried up, and now it is called the Aral Kum Desert. You know, and this is not just the problem of Uzbekistan. And it's not just an environmental problem, because this environmental problem leads to other problems as well, to economic problems, to social problems, right? Like if you look at the local people, the health of the local people which live around that RLC, their health is deteriorating. And the rates of unemployment growing, right? And the workforce out migration levels are rising. So you know, one damage done to the environment can cause, you know, like a change, can cause many problems in social and in economic sides as well. And now, because of that, unfortunately, yeah, it was the heritage of USSR, the cotton production, yes, but unfortunately, even after the independence, Uzbekistan continued to, you know, to produce cotton in very big quantities, and until like recent years, like 3-4 years ago, even Uzbekistan was well known for forced labor and child labor in cotton production, and that's why Uzbekistan's reputation was really, you know, Uzbekistan has suffered the negative reputation, right, in the world. And then because of that, because Uzbekistan was practicing forced labor and child labor, I think you may have heard about Cotton Pledge, which was signed by 300 plus companies, which banned the Uzbek cotton from their supply chains. But however, as I said, you know, it's been 3 or 4 years. Uzbekistan is working hard to eliminate forced labor and child labor. And when you look at the recent ILO report, 2019 report, they said that there is no child labor anymore in the fields of Uzbekistan, and the forced labor is also reduced to 40%, even comparing with 2018. And the biggest step, in my opinion, was the fact that Uzbekistan abandoned the practice of the state cotton order. It happened in March 2020, this year. It was the biggest step because it was the main reason of the forced labor. Government also increased the penalties for forced labor, increased the number of trained labor inspectors, and like public outreach and awareness is very important these days. And because of these very good steps, effective steps, the US ban to Uzbek cotton has lifted. But the cotton pledge is in there, and hopefully, you know, it will be lifted soon as well. We're waiting for the good news. Um, and I think, implementing responsible practices and promoting corporate social responsibility, promoting and introducing international social and environmental auditing systems and certifications, promoting environmentally friendly and socially responsibly business conduct. Uzbekistan could not only improve its image in front of the world, but it can also gain, loyal customers in the international market, because no country can be seen as a reliable partner if it doesn't provide the high standard products and services with which are complying which complies with accepted international norms and guidelines, of course. Having researched several examples of developed and developing countries, I would say it is very important to develop relevant regulations or maybe legislation as well. I'll come to it a bit later about the legislation, at least for certain types of businesses which can cause the most environmental harm. Those businesses, for example, in extracting, as you said, Farish, energy industries, of course, agriculture. If we have this kind of legislation or at least guidelines or the regulations for those businesses, that would be a big step as well. If we go back to the overall situation with the CSR businesses, they're not that willing, or maybe they're not that aware that they have to develop relevant CSR strategies in their entities. And maybe there are a few businesses who have some sort of CSR strategy in their companies, but I could see that those CSR strategies are not tailored, and they're not based on the material issues of the companies. Maybe they have, because it's new, they have to learn how to do it. And another problem, I think, is one of the biggest problems as well, that we don't have strong stakeholder influence to the companies. Stakeholders, they are also not aware of their rights, and they don't demand the accountability or responsibility from businesses. And we have to, of course, educate people, various stakeholders that they have certain rights and they have to demand the responsibility from businesses. If we consider the fact that Uzbekistan is one of the most important players in Central Asia, but still it is ranked 100th among 149 countries on the Social Progress Index, according to 2019. And we can clearly see that there is an urgency for proper corporate social responsibility practices, accountability and sustainability practices, to improve this situation. And of course, the role of businesses in this is undeniably prominent. And,
yeah, so it's a long way to go. It's a long way to go, but then you are at the right time and the right place.
Yes. It is also, I would also give an attention to the fact that CSR should not be, just the box ticking policy or the differentiation policy for the businesses. It should not be done to gain or to win in the market, let's say. But I think, in my own opinion, it should have some kind of value, the purpose. It should, the CSR strategy should be developed as a tool to address certain issues within the society, issues such as poverty, human rights, health, education, right, child labor, and etc. The CSR strategies of the businesses, it should be based on the local, local values and issues, and the developmental problems of the society. At the same time, I think you're aware of the debate on whether CSR should be practiced voluntary or should it be mandatory and regulated by the legislation. In some cases, I think CSR can be practiced voluntary when you have, when the organizations and businesses are ready, when you have a strong stakeholder influence, and when businesses understand their responsibility. But in other cases, like in many developing countries, I think maybe it's good if the CSR should be mandatory, because maybe at least at the beginning, until the time that
you get support. You get some support from the law.
Yes, yes, because strict regulations on CSR would help businesses to comply with their responsibilities, especially in our case, in environmental side of it, right? And but the thing is, we all know that India is, the only country with such kind of legislation, and Section 135 of the Companies Act, it introduced mandatory corporate social responsibility contributions of 2% for large companies. But in here, it's important to avoid the situation when, as I said, CSR is just box ticking regulation for businesses, right? The legislation should not be read, should not have some kind of two meanings, when businesses can play around it. Because in developing countries, it can such kind of legislation, CSR legislation, it could lead to corruption. And there's been some research on survey conducted by KPMG in India, and it showed that a certain amount of companies cheated the law by providing funds that eventually return to their own pockets.
I'll tell you my opinion on that. In a very advanced market, you have an Enron doing financial frauds. In the country where the top 4 consulting companies of the world emerged from, in the United States, and you still have an Enron doing financial fraud. So it is not about KPMG or my personal belief is that, in a country which has a lot of shareholder activism and a consumer activism, those countries may not require a legislation on CSR or sustainability because if strong stakeholders or strong legislation or strong consumerism will force the company to do CSR and sustainability. But till the time a young economy like India or Uzbekistan, it's a young country. These are young countries. These are growing countries. So a little push from the law will help us come up the standards, come up the curve, and reach out to standards where investors from advanced countries will be able to invest in our companies. So because of the law, a lot of companies in India have now started developing the ESG report. And because they have started developing the ESG report, investors from Australia or Europe are now looking at investing in those companies because now those companies have an ESG report. So, that basic little push from the law makes kind of a difference.
Malika, are you there? I think we may have lost her. Can we wait for a minute, please?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello? Yeah. Are you there? Yeah, she is online, but I think there's something wrong with the net.
Hello?
Yeah. Good to have you back.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interrupted, unfortunately. I couldn't hear your last sentences,
Yeah, yeah. So I'll
Parish.
tell you, what I was saying is because of a little push from the law, a lot of companies have started developing and submitting ESG reporting, for instance. And now because those companies have submitted ESG reports, large investors from Australia, Europe, and US are able to invest in those companies. Yeah. So, sometimes the law helps, and the same stands for companies in your country. So, maybe the law can take care of it, and that will affect the investing population from advanced countries. It
Yeah.
helps getting investors.
Well, I was saying as well. You know, maybe it helps, but we should be really careful,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and the legislation should be developed in a, let's say, in really good manner, right? So that businesses cannot play with that.
So, see, we are coming to the end of our session. I have two more questions for you. But before that, I want you to leave a message for my 3 million children, the 3 million volunteers that we have, because the video will be also circulated to them. So, if you could leave a message for them, that would be nice. And then I have a couple of questions for you.
Okay, for volunteers, I would say this is your time. This is the time when you get the experience, when you have the opportunity to develop certain skills that you will need, you know, throughout your life. And it's very important to try yourself in many fields if you can. Don't stop yourself. Don't discourage yourself. Try the new things. Try to acquire. Try to work on yourself on a daily basis. This is very important. The more you work on yourself, the more you practice your certain skills, the more it will help you to, you know, to become the person that you want to become. So dare it.
Thank you very much for such a nice message. More than questions, I have a few comments. That was a brilliant speech, and I'm sure we will all learn a lot from it. One thing I really like is that you have been having an interest in sustainability right from your education days. You have done your MSc in sustainability. Now, that, as I said earlier, is amazing, because in a young country, I would go on the, selling of natural resources side and not protecting them. But one thing I like in your speech, and I really appreciate that, is the Indian culture is very similar to the Uzbekistan culture of donating. The culture of, Uzbek is like India, and so, Indians are very fond of reaching out to people, giving, donating. That's in our culture. So when I heard that your culture promotes giving and donations, it really felt like home. So it's a nice feeling to have. Any culture that supports donations, without anything to do with religion, not on a religion basis, but a culture that supports donations.
Right.
Yeah. Now that country will really do good, because it is culturally good to donate. So as I said, you are at the right place at the right time. We are very happy to be associated with you, Malika, and thank you very much for your time today. Yeah.
Thank you, Paresh. Thank you for inviting. It was really nice to talk, and it was really nice to have a discussion, such an interesting discussion with you. Thank you for it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Over to you, Midesh.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, thank you so much, Paresh sir. And Malika, thank you once again for your time. I'm sure the listeners will benefit a lot, and we definitely look forward to seeing you again at the roundtable on 18th.
Thank you, Mites. It was really nice to meet you as well. Paresh, you as well. I wish you good to spend your rest of the day effectively and good. Enjoy.
Yes, I have to rush for a meeting. I have a meeting in the next 20 minutes, some 2 kilometers from here. So my meeting is from 8:45 to around 10 p.m. I'm meeting somebody from the government on the same same topic. sustainability and volunteering. You know, so
That's really
it is
good.
a long day, but I'm really enjoying myself. I had 3, video conferences since morning, and 3 meetings. All the 6 had the same agendas. How do we promote sustainability?
Right.
It has been an amazing day, and thank you very much for being a part of this. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you. Thank you. Nitesh, can I ask you to send these